Oh, hang on.
Hello, fabulous Fabian. How are you?
How are you? Really good.
Good. Good.
Right, I've just done. Wait, hang on a minute. I'm just getting set up.
Okay.
What I've done, yeah. I've just kind of done a video. I've just done another video myself, and I'm just give me. I won't be a minute.
Sure.
I'm gonna get me cut. Oh yeah.
You have to bring stuff in then. It'll get wet. There's a storm coming. Good to know. Come on then. Vivian, come on, show us like this one way. Vivian, come on.
Okay, I'm here.
Wait, can we do video?
Yeah. 2 seconds. Let me just get it set up.
Yay.
Hey,
Hi.
how are you?
I'm good. I've done a lot of research since we last talked.
Okay. I'm
I
glad
can
you
have
have.
it work. What's that?
I said I'm glad you have because I haven't. I have really, but I have.
That's okay. I don't think you needed to. I needed to catch up.
Yeah.
I've just.
Give me a minute. Let me just put something behind me. Hang on.
Yeah.
Let's do have to get a towel and put that there. Let's get a towel on. No. On there.
Okay.
Make sure it's on the towel. Are you getting me in?
Okay.
Okay.
That's better. Yeah, you were saying. So you say you're doing some research.
Yeah. But why don't we do that? So do you mind if I stream this into one of our Facebook groups?
I don't mind at all. That'd be good.
Okay. I mean, why not, right?
Yeah, why not? We just
Why
what
not?
it is. I've just done this other video, see. So it's like I'm just trying to get myself set. I've literally just come straight off that to jump straight onto this.
Oh my gosh.
It's good fun.
Well, you relax, and now I'll get us ready on.
Yeah, I think you can remember what we were speaking about.
Oh, don't worry. I'll do a recap.
Yeah, because I don't even know what I'm going to speak. I don't even know what I'm going to go into.
Shivambu, urine therapy.
Oh, you've got questions, haven't you?
We're gonna talk about nitric oxide and the nitrous cycle.
Yeah, it was really good that what you sent me because I'd already looked at that. I've got quite a bit of stuff on that, so it was a really good link. That.
Oh, good. Yeah. So this series, and you got to tell me who else I should be talking to if someone comes up. But I know I got to talk to Harry. I'm getting a recap of all these people.
Yeah. Honestly. I'm just getting my notepad.
Yeah, good. No problem. All right.
Yeah. I don't know if you know about the plasma and stuff that I do as well. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, so maybe not. Maybe we should talk about that. Okay, so where am I going to post this? I mean, I could just post it on, I think I'll do a live on our page. We have a ton of people on our page. All right, here we go.
Yeah, last time I tried to, right, so if I just try and see if I can. Yeah, I mean, we'll probably stick to the urine. See, like this stuff. See that?
Yeah, what's that?
That's copper plasma. It's copper plasma. So the beauty with this thing, it's amazing. So it actually takes pains. It just removes any problems that people have got. It removes it straight away. Any sort of physical muscle problems, back problems, stomach problems, just viruses, pretty much energy. It does, but it does it really, really quickly. You've never seen anything. It's amazing.
So how'd you get? So you made it out of blood plasma?
No. It's a different sort of plasma. No. That's a plasma from out the atmosphere. That's a different story. Different story.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I love the color. I mean, oxidation, right? It's like, yeah. Okay, here we go.
No, you got it.
Why won't Facebook work?
Are you going to question me then? Because I haven't got anything set up. I'm just going to it would just be like a straight sort of.
Oh, yeah, no, I'll guide us.
You can't.
Select group.
That's okay. Hey. I'll mention that link as well, actually, because I've just been speaking about that. It was really good with the nitric oxide and the light.
All right. We're now streaming live on Facebook. This is Kate Stillman with yogahealer.com, and I'm here with the fabulous Fabian Farquharson. What are you drinking, Fabian?
This is watermelon juice. Really good.
Lovely, lovely. So this is part two. This is part two of a conversation, which I have no idea how many parts there will be. And where we left off is my original question to Fabian was, why does urine therapy work? And what we went into is a lot of the components of urine and the chemistry behind the transmutation that ends in nitric oxide. So in the last 2 weeks, spent a ton of time learning about nitric oxide. And where I've kind of landed is, well, you can't separate conversations of nitric oxide. Like, you can't have a conversation about nitric oxide without talking about the microbiome. And so where I've landed at this point in my experience of urine therapy, but then also in the research in urine therapy, is that chronic systemic inflammation is the same thing as depletion of nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is one nitrogen atom and one oxygen atom that has a combustible, it has a really fast half-life. It sort of ignites and combusts. And in that, it eats inflammation for breakfast, right? So it's going to eat bad bacteria or bad viruses or anything the body's going to identify as a pathogen. And at the same time, it nourishes the microbiome. So it does those two things simultaneously. And what activates nitric oxide in the body is the microbiome. It's actually the bacteria itself. And let me see if I'm on the right track here. Where I've sort of landed in looking at urine, which is what we do when we start to really get interested in urine therapy, is we're like, what is this stuff? So we have 100% of urine, 95% of it is water, which only leaves us about 5% to really look at. And when we look at that 5%, we have urea at a couple percent, and we have uric acid, and we have ammonia, all of which are part of the nitrogen cycle. So when I look at why urine therapy works, and we look at nitric oxide, one nitrogen atom, one oxygen atom, there's something happens that when nitrogen gets oxidized, when nitrogen and oxidized combine, and we see that as a cycle, rather than seeing nitrogen as a waste product, we see nitrogen not so different then we see oxygen. And if we say, well, oxygen, the body needs oxygen to breathe and to move things, but the bacteria, the microbiome, needs nitrogen in order to generate nitric oxide. And so having a loop of activated nitrogen is why urine therapy seems to have the anti-inflammatory effect. So any diseases, any of the diseases of chronic systemic inflammation, which we're talking viral diseases, we're talking respiratory diseases, heart diseases, kidney diseases, immune diseases, autoimmune diseases, right, are all falling under the category of chronic systemic inflammation. Basically, like anything gone chronic at this point, I see as chronic systemic inflammation.
Yeah.
So it's going to kill that. And simultaneously, the urine therapy on this other side, on this health, healing, enlightenment side, is diversifying and nutrifying the microbiome. How am I doing?
Good, not bad.
What am I
Good.
missing?
Yeah, well, you see, when you're saying that inflammation as well, you see, I mean, it's a complex. Hydrogen does the same thing as well. It removes the anti-inflammation side, and then you've got this thing with this you got anti-inflammatory cytokine and stuff like that as well. And what you find is what the urine doing is it's opening pathways up that nullify these things. So it's opening up.
And is that from the ammonia? Is that because the ammonia keeps switching from like the way that the nitrogen cycle is working is it's using ammonia as a gas for penetration? What it is,
it's the amino acids. So you've got to imagine these amino acids, like I've just done a video a minute ago, we were just saying that this with the DNA, it's got 4 bases. And out of those 4 bases come the amino acids. It creates these triplets, codon, these chains. So because the amino acids themselves are a building block of life. Like I'm drinking this, the watermelon. That also does a similar sort of thing because of the amino acids that are in it. The amino acid will like one of them triggers the glutathione, where glutathione will remove inflammation, will remove natural antioxidants within the body, will trigger them, not remove them, will trigger them into play. And that comes from those amino acids, such as the arginines, like we're saying, and the citrulline. But there's another one in there, like a lysine as well. Mm-hmm. And what they do with lysine is they use that in they use like when they put the urine and urea in the face creams, etc.
Yeah.
It's the lysine that's in it. They use
these are for cold sores and all sorts of stuff. Like really lysine heavy.
Yeah. Even Blistex, yeah, they use ammonia, organic ammonia in Blistex.
So they're using what, petroleum, organic ammonia, and so and lysine?
Yeah, so the lysine that's in it, again, does the same sort of thing. So the lysine is going to be connected to the arginines, the citrulline, the glutamine. Like glutamine and arginine together combined is a powerful combination. So with the urine, it's because it's able to combine so many of these life-giving amino acids that come together. Do you know what I mean?
So, and that's one of the things that happens, right? Because I mean, that's the other thing right here. We have what most people consider a waste product coming out of their body. We know it's got the full gamut of all amino acids, and anyone wants the data on that, go to the Canadian urine metabolome site. That's really good because it lists all the 4,000 different components that are in urine. So we know it's packed with everything that's in the human body, basically.
Yeah.
So but this is the surprising thing that happens is once the urine leaves your body, right? And it's not in your body for that long either, right? We've got this real cyclical, continual thing where the bladder gets full and the urea is only really showing up in the bladder, right? It's like, that's where we have this massive urea concentration, which as far as I can tell is stored nitrogen. So now we have like that building block that enables all the whole nitrogen cycle to occur. That leaves the body. As soon as it leaves the body, it's oxidized because now it's got exposure to air. Now it starts a fermentation process, and fermentation is interesting, right? If like you start, like a lot of people understand fermentation in my community from making their own homemade sauerkraut or kimchi or fermented foods, where you start with something like cabbage and water and salt, and you combine it in a pot, and all of a sudden it becomes probiotic. It grows bacteria. It grows good bacteria, which then can feed the micro and diversify the microbiome. So urine has, and this is where I'm kind of getting caught up too, is like, it doesn't have carbohydrates, but it has carbon and oxygen and hydrogen almost in equal amounts, which is like the third majorities, and then a little sliver of hydrogen. So it's got the building blocks from carbon. It's got the nitrogen oxygen activation combination, which seems to activate these amino acids to be able to do what? Like to start to build cells? Is that what we're saying? It like,
but that what you've just said there is what I call it the con, right? Which is CONH, which is the carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, and hydrogen. And that is the basis of our atmosphere anyway.
Yeah, it's the basis of life, right?
The basis is based on life. And then from those is actually born those amino acids. Those amino acids are then born. But
aren't they already in the urine?
Yeah, they're in the urine. But what actually happens is they have the amino acids. They're a byproduct of the DNA anyway. But in our atmosphere, we have the carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and the nitrogen.
Yeah.
And then the life that gets born through their interaction is the field of amino acids.
So they start to build into chains or what?
Yeah. So then what happens is they start to form, like you've got two types of, you've got L amino acids, and then you've got R amino acids. You've got two types of amino acids that are working there. But those L amino acids are the ones that they have the left hand spin, and they're the ones that sort of progress, accelerate the life processes of all living things.
Okay.
Which is why when we use that urine, which we do, that is the main reason why it's so nourishing, because it's already giving you what the body was already using anyway, but then you're retaking it back through that digestive system. Once you retake it back through that digestive system, the body then rereads it. It's like I was just doing a different video, and then I was just saying about how the body is able to remember through rejuvenation. It's able to remember a previous autophagy state. So if you were fasting or you were drinking urine previously, and then you go back and do it again a year later, you'll get the same benefits that, like weight loss, etc. You'll re-get those same benefits much quicker than you would have done previously because of the memory that it has. So it's the same with the urine. Once someone I take the urine and I put it across all of my head, across all the skin and everything, right?
Yeah.
What it does.
Well, which is an entire microbiome. Just to remind people, it's like the urine nourishes the microbiome. The microbiome is dependent on nitrogen. Urine's high in this nitrogen, so it's activating. Yep. Okay, keep going. And I just want to break down one more word you said. You said previous autophagy. So autophagy, you guys. So auto is self, phagy is to eat. So it's like when the cells self-destruct because they're pathological. So it's like house cleaning.
Yeah, it's a house cleaning process that you're actually doing, the autophagy. And then when you put the urine on the skin, like I say, it will then trigger amino acids that will add the skin antioxidants, that processes that work in the skin. The urine triggers those when you put it on the skin.
It's triggering the bacteria, isn't it, to produce more nitric oxide?
Well, yeah. Well, this is what it's going to do. It's going to do all of that, but then it's got other things in it, like selenium, and stuff
all
like
the nourishment.
Like that. Yeah, all the nourishment things that bring elasticity. The copper that brings see, like copper brings elasticity.
Zinc too, right? So we're looking at a lot of people use zinc on skin for acne and things where you have you want the antimicrobial function. So it like kills the bad, nourishes the good.
Yeah, but we know that the zinc because it's a sexual force again. What's a sexual force? A sexual force is a life-giving force. So if it's got zinc in it, which we have in sperm, then that zinc would be in the urine also as well. Once we reuse that on the skin, all we're doing is we're just accelerating and moving ourselves away from detriment, which is moving ourselves away from aging.
So let me ask this. we've talked about a lot of different things. So we'll talk about fresh and then we'll talk about aged, because I want to know more about both. So with the fresh, what you're saying, or what I'm hearing, is that the amino acids in the fresh urine get reabsorbed and they create a feedback loop. And that's where part of the autophagy process happens. And the amino acids are small enough to like basically go through the digestive absorption process without getting broken down by the digestive acids on like larger molecules. Because that's one of the bigger questions that people have, that like look at what's in urine and they're like, but the digestive tract is going to destroy half of that because the molecules are too big. But with the amino acids, they're so tiny that they get reabsorbed and the body recognizes it as self. Is that what?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. So because that's what we do is we're working on that micro level. That's why even with that something like the hydrogen, it's so small, it'll go through the blood-brain barrier, and that's what we find with the urine when we use the urine, when we use it on the brain.
And that's why like snorting works, is because you're getting hydrogen into your sinuses, or what?
Yes. Yeah. Say that last bit again. I didn't hear that last thing you said.
Oh, just what hydrogen in the brain and using the nostrils as an entry point. Is that how you would?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. What you're doing is you're taking the urine up through the nose here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the same as when I was just saying when you tick the urine on the skin. What I do is I take the aged urine. I hope I'm not sidetracking the question. You have to remember that.
That's okay. I'll keep bringing us around in circles. We'll get there.
And what you do is I take that aged urine and I put it to the back of the head here.
Yeah.
Right? Which is the cerebellum.
So you're going right at the atlas, like right where the atlas, the C1 and your skull connect.
That's
so
it, right?
Using that as the entrance point to get it more into your brain.
No, I use the nose for that, but this cerebellum here, this works on your balance, right? Works on your balance of your body. So when you put the urine on it, your body recognizes it through the skin, because what we think is just the skin, it's not the skin. It's actually the portals. It's actually a portal network. The skin. So the skin has a level of memory in it that we don't. That's far more advanced than we actually realize. So what I do is I take that aged urine, because it has a higher negative charge, and I put it on the back here, and then I send it all the way around, and then I take it all the way down on the meridians. And then I take it all the way down to the sexual region and I bathe that area also. What happens is you will then feel like a chi life force energy that then climbs back up you. Mm-hmm. As you bring the urine down you'll find an inner chi energy that brings the energy back upwards through the urine. Now, I want to answer
like polarity therapy, right? Where you create movement one way, the equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah. Now, what was your question? Because something happened. It went a little bit fuzzy. I didn't quite hear what you were saying.
I was curious about the hydrogen in the brain and snorting or sniffing or drinking through the nose.
About it with it being so small, with the molecules and everything being so small. Yeah, it's all working on that. It is all working on that molecular level. You know, so that with the hydrogen, everything being so small. It's able to operate on that molecular level, and it is able to sort of look to, because of the negative charge. I think, like I was saying last week, that operates as a buffering system, and actually buffers the DNA strands. It actually buffers them and brings them back round new again, and all of that's happening on that cellular level.
Okay, so just to back up, so the negative charge is coming from the pH?
The negative charge is just coming from within the blood. Your blood, like I just did a video explaining it as well. Your blood has something called heparin in it. And that heparin is negatively charged. And it's negatively charged because it creates a repulsion. It creates a repulsion within the blood. So that to keep the blood flow, nitrogen. So that again, to create this flow of blood. Yeah, because if the better the flow, the more ease that we've got within the body.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really I think that's really what it comes down to. If we look at the diseases of chronic systemic inflammation, which like most people have at this point, according to the World Health Organization, they're diseases of stagnation. And so flow is the, I mean, in our Ayurvedic medicine, we just really deal with simplicity and opposites to understand the whole system. So if there's stagnation, the opposite of that is flow. What we know from people starting to drink their urine is they start to realize deeper levels of hydration, but it's a different type of hydration, one that has something to do with the experience of saturation, where you're going towards an experience of your microbiome being deeply, deeply nourished by, and I like that you're using the, what did you call it? COHN, C-O-H-N, like by the carbon, the oxygen, the hydrogen, and the nitrogen. And that the nitrogen itself is what is really feeding the bacteria, as opposed to oxygen, right? So the bacteria are reliant more on nitrogen than oxygen, which is why we use nitrogen fertilizers to grow plants. Well,
That's the thing. So that nitrogen fertilizer we use to create organic ammonia, and then to create plants, which is also encouraging amino acids.
Yeah.
So that's taking you straight back again. It's taking you all the way back to the amino acids. Now, you mentioned something that I wrote down earlier last week that I was going to mention about the urine hydration. So that level of hydration that one gets, that you get from drinking just one glass of urine, you notice it's instant. You would need about 7 or 8 glasses to receive that level of hydration.
Of water.
Yeah. So you can see exactly what it's doing, how it's flushing out the system. As soon as you drink that, how the body recognizes that urine, because it recognizes the amount that, because what it's doing in the body, it's only ejecting what it doesn't need, that urine. It doesn't actually necessarily need it. It's got an abundance of what it needs. So it ejects that urine. Once you then recycle that urine and you take it back in again, you're just compounding something called compounding, the law of 72. You are then, and the age urine has to sit at pH 9 as well. 72 is 9, funny enough. So once you retake that back in, what you're doing is you're compounding on your energy level, which means is that you're only actually increasing on the previous amount of energy that you had, which means that you're actually empowering yourself and you're encouraging growth within your vessel.
Okay. So when most people are thinking of like my body, right? This is what people always say. Well, if my body doesn't need it, that's why it's expelling it. So why would I take that back in? Why would I like double up on the stuff that my body is saying I already have enough of?
Yeah. And that's because of the science that they know with their belief system that makes them think.
So is there a conversion of then some of those, I mean, to things like make other things, right? Because that's what we see. I mean, when you look at urine, that's what it constantly looks like, is that there's ammonia seems to be the transference of one phase of nitrogen from into another phase of nitrogen and then back again. So it's like the body's creating ammonia, and then out of the ammonia, it's creating urea. And then once the urine leaves the body, it takes the urea and then it converts it back into ammonia, right? Yeah. And then that ammonia activates a whole bunch of other developments of the amino acid chains into, like, how do you actually get stem cells from urine?
Well, the stem cells get triggered as well when in the dry state. We're able to trigger stem cells when we get into this dry fasted state.
Right. So there's things that we can do to accelerate that, but like, how does urine in aging itself, how does it change molecularly in the aging or the living culture process?
What do you mean? How does it, what, sorry?
Yeah. So if you look at like the biochemical structure of urine when it leaves the body, and then you look at it 4 months later, what are the different things that you see?
Yeah, well, the different things that you're going to see with the urine is because of this oxidation process again, you will notice the urine start to change color, especially depending on how dark the urine already was. So one of the things is, if there are food elements in there, if there are cooked food elements in there, then the oxidation processes have already been accelerated. So that's why the urine is darker. So when the urine is lighter, it's got this, that's from a raw, hydrated state. So there's less elements in there that are oxidized. Mm-hmm. So it means that urine is kind of, in a way, it's encasing it, holding on to more light, and left oxidated depth. So one of the things is when that urine ages, it will you will start to notice a coloration, and that is because of the oxidation process. When it first comes out, the urine dies and then it's reborn again. So when you leave it, it starts to smell, and then the smell changes, and that's when
that's the ammonia. That's the conversion of the urea back into ammonia, right? So those first few days where it's like urea is converting back into ammonia and it's off gassing.
Yeah,
my guess is feeding. It's feeding the bacteria within to grow in complexity.
Yeah,
just
and
like making sauerkraut.
Yeah, that's what's happening. So, and it's adjusting to the atmosphere. But at the same time, what's happening is it's about to gather more strength. It's about to become much stronger. It's about to raise up in its pH, which I was saying on our last talk. It's actually about to expand its biomagnetic field. That is what is about to happen with that urine. And then what happens is at the bottom of the urine, it'll start to crystallize.
Right.
You start to go through a crystallization process in the urine.
When you look at the crystals, is it which crystal? Is it like the crystalline structure of nitrogen? Is it a hexagon?
It's the crystals that are in the bottom of the urine is a crystallization of, because what happens is it's with the salts, the natural salts that are all in it. They start to become crystallized because of the oxidation process. They start to go from a liquid into more of a semi-solid. Into more of a solid. But because your body is in a gassy state, remember that nitrogen is a gas. So the urine is closer towards a gaseous state. These are different states of matter. When something is more in a gaseous state, it has a lot more applications, and that's why the firefly is able to produce that light, because it's using nitrogen gas in order to produce that light. What that tells us is that the urine contains a light. I mean, we're not even touching on the phosphorus, the phosphates, what the phosphates do in terms of providing energy to the body. Because there's a different channel. There's different channels with the urine. We could also go down that phosphate channel with the urine as well.
But wait, before we do, I need to understand, when urine comes out of the body, does it have any stem cells?
When urine comes out of the body, there will be stem cells in the urine, especially if you've come from if you was in a raw state.
If you're in a raw state, and if you've done some autophagy and some fasting, so you're increasing your stem cell production anyway. So if you've been intermittent fasting and you're starting to do 1 meal a day, or you're starting to do 40-hour fast, or you're starting to do 3-day fast, now you've got increased apoptosis, increased autophagy. So certain cells are dying that are sick cells that they shouldn't replicate. And now you have increase of growth hormone and increase of stem cell production. So in that case, the urine, the content of the urine, it's going to be a lot paler. It's going to be a lot less oxidized. It's going to contain a lot more electrical energy, and it's going to contain what's already more in the blood plasma anyways, which is more growth hormone and more stem cells. And at that point, now that urine becomes, or any urine that leaves the body becomes a living culture. But this urine is even better. It's already more alkaline. It's got better building blocks to begin with. It's a living culture. So it's going to become, and so then what happens next?
So when that urine becomes more alkaline, it's not just because we're alkaline. What happens is, because the alkalinity has gone up on the urine, it's negative charge that now goes up as well. Now, once that goes up, it means that one of the things with the urine is this, the taurine that's in the urine and the negative charge works with your biological clock, which your biological clock responds to electronegative responses. So the electrostatic charge within the urine increases. This then tethers you more to your circadian rhythm. This is why it's best to use that urine in conjunction with your circadian rhythm. So what's actually happening is, when you use it around 12 o'clock when the blue light comes out, it's gonna increase your level of serotonin, right? But it's also going to increase your levels of GABA. It increases the levels of GABA through the taurine that's in it. The GABA receptors are the ones that bring a calmness and calm your nervous system and calm your mental state of being. So you
But I want to
take
understand what's happening more within the urine as it's aging. Like, what are the molecular changes that happen within the urine as it's aging? Because it like a probiotic food, right? Like, or beverage, right? It's going through different chemical structures. So it changes, like what is actually in it starts to change, and it changes fairly dramatically, which is why you have changes in viscosity, changes in taste, changes in smell. Like any way that you can sense difference, you sense that in the urine, especially the more awake to it that you become. And the hardcore Shivambu experts, the hardcore urine therapy users or urine users, they can really tell at a, just if they have 10 different bottles of aged urine, they can tell which one is their medicine in that time because it's in a different molecular structure. So what are some of the changes that happen so some of it crystallizes, and then because of the different amino acids acting with the different components of carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen, certain things get formed.
No, what happens is it changes. It's not that it changes form. What happens is it does change form. That's exactly right, actually, because what it's doing is it's changing the state of matter.
Yeah.
It's state of matter. That's what we're saying. That's what it's doing. That's why when you get to the bottom of the urine, it's aged, you've got like white crystals, right? Crystalline structure. And the bottom of it, it's more powerful, right? So
what's in it that makes it more powerful? Like, how has it changed that it's now more powerful?
The reason that is because what's happened is it's gone from a liquid state. It's a liquid state, but it's gone into more of a gaseous state. So that's why some people, at one point, we're thinking I
thought it went more into a crystalline state. So that's the opposite.
Both. No, it's both.
Okay. It's both. Yeah.
It's both. What happens is that's why we thought it was like an ormus at the bottom, but it's not. It's not an ormus. It's not an ormus because the ormus that you create is like you use like a salt water. To create ormus, you're working with salt waters. A bit like when I showed you that plasma earlier. It's like we use that with a salt water condition because of the electrolytes that's in it. But what's actually happening is it's moving towards that sort of fermented crystalline mixed with a gassy state at the bottom. So it's
self-fueling, right? It's self-fueling. It has its own energy to keep regenerating itself, which unfortunately things like sauerkraut don't, right? Like sauerkraut can go bad. It's like it's living, but then it doesn't have that ongoing ability to regenerate itself. Whereas the aged urine seems to be kind of timeless. Yeah.
But it's concentrated. So when you get to the bottom, what's happened is now it's become more potent. It's stronger. It crystallizes. Those things they crystallize, but they come together to become more compact. Yet there's more gases that are in there as well. There's more gases that these are like nano gases. They're more like, because this is what happens when we create these plasma, we create these nano gases. And then what happens is with the nano gases sit at the bottom, and then they release the plasma fields in the energy into the water. So what you're doing when you get to the bottom is you're actually coming towards where the energy is more concentrated, is at the bottom of that urine. And that is what we're grasping hold of. That is what you're grasping hold of. And that is, so when you use that, you're grasping hold of that and using that. And then that has become more powerful. So when you use it on the brain, what you find is the benefits that you receive come a lot more potent than they were previously because of it.
I mean, and that's definitely the lived experience, right? I mean, that's the thing, is like anyone who's been using urine for a while, they're like, it's all about the age. It's all about the age. And then the fresh is good for hydration, right? But then it seems to go from like a medicine into a food almost.
Well, I did an experiment not long ago, and what happened with the fresh, the morning fresh, it had a lot more magnesium and calcium in it than the aged urine did. But the aged urine beats it on the. It's not a competition with it, but the aged urine does the opposite thing, because The aged urine is giving you the energy because of the negative charge. The negative charge is what gives you the euphoric, ecstatic feel. It's the charge that does that.
So that's the nitric oxide, right?
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is this. The negative charge. Go on. Carry on.
Okay. As urine ages, does it increase nitric oxide? Does it actually form nitric oxide within it?
You see, what happens is with the nitric oxide is within everything. What happens is with the aged urine, as far as I can see, everything becomes more potent.
So the nitric oxide in it, is that one of the nano gases or not?
Yes, it is one of the nano gases. And I just wanted to pull this up because this thing that I'm going to show here, now, hopefully I've brought up the right page, but I've got something else behind me. I'm going to read that as well. But this thing that I've got up here is how you use urine and water to create light. So we might have to have a little bit of patience.
Yeah, go, you're good. Yeah.
If it doesn't contain, it's within the whole article, so I might have to screenshot bits of it and then put it in. But we'll read bits of it that I can pull up. Right. So it says here that this lamp can hold half a liter of water, right? And this lamp is used to create light. So it says throughout its life, one light can provide 5,000. What's that? 5,500 hours of energy, which equates to 2 to 3 years of using 2 to 3 years of use, depending on how often it is used. The light has a cylinder wrapping wood with a circuit integrated into its base. Blah, blah, blah. It then goes on to say, can a cap on top that allows water to flow into the device, while the hydrogen gas created during the ionization process can escape. Right. After the salt particles have evaporated, the lamp can be emptied and refilled to use while the used water can be repurposed for washing and cleaning. Now, as I go,
salt water or fresh water that they're filling this lamp with?
It's urine. So that's what I'm saying.
So it's like water.
You can either use urine, right, or you can use water with a. So here, what is so what light is compared? So if I just take this first page, and I'll show you that. Right, where are you? You're here. So let me just go back into that again. That's like, because it's an article, I'm having to right, here we go. So you see that it says water light is a portable lantern that can be charged with salt water or urine.
Wow.
Yeah. Colombian renewable energy startup Edina has developed a cordless light that converts salt water, your urine, into electricity. Because remember, the urine, these are salts.
Yep.
Yeah, electrical salts. So with the aged urine, what we're saying here is, you asked me about what's in it, what's making that happen. Why is it doing that? It's the magnetism within it increases the force within the elements that are within the urine. So what happens is with this magnetism is that the amino acids, they have a left-hand spin, and the faster the oscillation of the magnetic field is, the faster that it increases the left spin of the amino acids, which increases their ability to generate a life force, which would be through these salts as well. So that one there was just explaining that, and that's an off-grid solar lamp, which works with salt waters or works with urine. So we can create different environments, and that's what's happening with that aged urine at the bottom. It's creating a different environment to one that you're normally used to seeing. So that's why I can say that there's gases in there mixed with the crystalline solids, because your body is, what happens is the urine is a reflection of your body. Your body is in a gaseous state, but yet it's crystallized.
Yep.
Your body's in a gaseous state, but yet it is actually crystallized. which is
Well,
why.
Yeah, go ahead.
Which is why we can't. There's things that the body can do, etc. That we can't explain so easily. So like such as when one breathes, because when you're in a gaseous state, that is moving you closer towards an ethereal state and a non-physical state. Which is why when one takes in that urine and then conducts deep breathing, you can then trigger the DMT within your body, and then you can also on respiration trigger your soul into life.
Okay, let's talk about DMT and pineal gland just while we're we're going all over the place. So aged urine, snorting aged urine into the brain, decalcifying the pineal gland, releasing endogenous DMT, which is the visionary molecule, something like that. It's like people take DMT, for those not familiar with it, it shows up in drugs like shamanic plant medicines, like ayahuasca, right? And others. And so you have visions, and in visions you see a higher order of patterning in pattern recognition, and it's huge. And that's why those hallucinogenic experiences are so helpful, is because people can revision their life. And then when they are back in their everyday waking state of consciousness, they can see the pattern behind the pattern. So endogenous DMT is DMT that's naturally created within the body, is what is created by the pineal gland, correct? Endogenous DMT. So the problem is that the pineal gland gets calcified. Part of it, the reason it gets calcified is there's not enough nitric oxide in the physiology, which decalcifies and feeds the microbiome. So if the microbiome in someone's mouth and sinuses is all impacted, say the person's using mouthwash and actually killing the ability of the bacteria in their mouth and their sinuses to generate nitric oxide, or say their tap water is full of fluoride or chlorine, there's an excess calcification or mineralization within the body that actually slows down flow. So then the pineal gland isn't creating endogenous DMT. Someone starts huffing urine or snorting urine and aging it, and then snorting aged urine, and they start to open their sinuses, and then they start to be able to penetrate at that vapor level into clearing some of the plaque in their brain, including around the pineal gland. And when that happens, you have optimal functioning of what our cellular structures are meant to do, including the creation of certain molecules like DMT. And when that happens, you have a different vision of your life. Like you're in a tune, you're actually a human being at that point. You're awake to your own human beingness, and you're seeing from the seat of the creator. And that's the awakened third eye. Yeah,
because you're getting secretions from the pineal, and there's the two, they work together. There's the pineal and the pituitary, and they both work together to do that. And you get, the pituitary axis, adrenal axis, you get in with the zinc. The zinc also does massive things as well, but that's with the zinc plasma. So so that's why when you take the brain suffers with this oxidative stress.
So let me just break that down, what you just said. So zinc plasma is where you take it's a mineral drug like that, or a mineral herbal concoction. Plasmas are big in India and in Ayurvedic medicine. Go ahead.
It's very unique. It's a nano gases. The zinc that I'm talking about is a nano gases. But it's still, but a lot of people suffer with this zinc deficiency. So the seat of the soul is within this pineal gland up here as well. So what you're doing with the urine is the brain suffers with oxidative stress massively, and it requires a lot of oxygen, a lot more than every other part of the body. So when we take what I was able to do with the urine was elevate my level of consciousness and my level of intelligence drastically, and it's meant that I've been able to change so many things. I've done lots of things with urine. I saved my partner's life. She was dying of reverse liver disease and all sorts with the urine. But with myself, I've been able to elevate my level of consciousness and elevate my level of intelligence drastically by taking the aged urine, drinking it to the brain for years now. And I just wanted to say, in this bit of research that I've got here, just to back up what I say about what you've got is you've got the urine levels of the arginine, the urine levels of the ornithine, and the citrulline, right? And they are an indicator to work out whether somebody's, the maintenance of your cognitive functions, let alone everything else. if they're dysregulated or they're diminished,
Yeah.
then they fall down. So this says here, in some, these findings suggest that there is likely relationship between dysregulated arginine metabolism and impairment in the maintenance of cognition.
Yeah.
The discriminatory metabolites that were elucidated in this study, namely decreased urine arginine, are also involved in related biochemical pathways inside of the body, especially taurine and hypotaurine metabolism. Taurine activates dead dormant brain cells in the brain, which I've done a lot of work on this before, which plays a neuroprotective role and may be protective against excitotoxicity. Moreover, glutathione, which is one of the ones I mentioned earlier, gets triggered by arginine. The most abundant endogenous antioxidant in the brain is decreased in AD and aging, right? A decrease of antioxidants, particularly reduced glutathione, may be a major contributor to the progression of MCI and AD, right? So it says this in combination with our findings suggests that altered arginine level may follow from altered protein homeostasis, taurine metabolism, glutathione metabolism, and other metabolic pathways that closely relate to the AD pathological process. So basically, Alzheimer's disease and the likes, these are born through the deficiencies in the taurine, arginine, and arginine triggers the glutathione. So and those get taken directly to the brain, yeah. And then on top of that, we reduce the aging of the brain through the negative charge that we take directly through intake through the nose and by tipping it across the whole of the brain area. What I can say that it does is it makes you become ultra sensitive. Like I can't go, if somebody uses washing powder or any of these things around by me, I can't go nowhere near them because you've cleaned your brain out to such a level that if it senses any of that, you'll start to get like a slight headache and it'll start.
Well, it's from the excitotoxins, which are carcinogenic.
Exactly. But you
So
will
I
feel
want
them.
to explain what you just said in our Ayurvedic terminology, because it's really like part of the question there is like what leads to brain fog and how does brain fog lead to dementia? And then this is what you just explained was like the reverse process of it biochemically, right? And so in Ayurveda, what they say basically is there's stuff in your physiology that's undigested, either too much food or food that's not really recognizable by the human body, or a circadian rhythm taken at the wrong times of day that you can't digest it, or there's too much on the mind. Right. And those things will create an experience of inflammation. Right. And that's why like depression and anxiety and irritation all lead to chronic systemic inflammation, as well as overeating, eating food that's not really food, or eating, basically at times a day where your body can't digest. And then that builds up. And the word we use in Ayurveda for that is ama. And it's basically that which is undigested. And that which is undigested starts to create a plaque in the physiology, which blocks communication and connection. And at that point, you start to see deficiencies, right? You'll see deficiencies at all different kinds of level, including hydration, but also including the proteins, amino acids, all that, right? Because the body's not able to make what it needs to make because there's too much negative stress or distress in the physiology.
So it boils down to that what the urine does is that orgasmic, what I call samadhi, state of being, where that's what the body is trying to push for and is motivated towards, which is finding that balance of its homeostasis, and that homeostasis is born through an orgasmic, ecstatic flow that comes from this voltage charge of energy that you'll find that is within the aged urine. It is within the urine also, but you would have to loop the urine to get to that level that you will get with the aged urine. But there's also a lot of other practices as well that go along with that. Like you should never really. It's about density, and you can't really. You got to break your fast. Every day is a fast. Every day should be a fast, really.
Yeah. It's intermittent fasting, right? Where you have intentional periods of fasting before feasting.
I call it break fast. every day. The word we call breakfast is actually break a fast.
Yeah.
That's what the word breakfast is. So you should break the fast with the most cleanest source of energy that you can get, which is going to be the energies that reside within nature, such as the plasma fields in the atmosphere, and the internal plasma from within the vessel that contains this high negative charge. Or you can use molecular hydrogen as well. If anything that has this really high negative electric charge, if that goes into the body first, it'll accelerate all of the body processes, and the body will start to sink to it, and then it will release the oxytocin and release all of the good things, and then it will just set you perfectly for the day. So it's brilliant.
Awesome, everyone. This has been the fabulous Fabian Fakarson, you're in the UK right now.
Right now, very short.
Very short, not for long. All right, who knows what we'll talk about in the next time we get together. It's been a blast. So everyone, this is Kate Stillman with Yoga Healer Podcast. For those who want to check out what we do in our rewilding habits, check out yogahealer.com/the-challenge. It's where we have also access to the gold room, which is sort of the insider conversation on urine therapy. Awesome, Fabian. Yay. Yeah. Go you for bringing it ecstatic.
Yeah. Fantastic. Catch me at Transmutation 2020. Got some good videos coming up.
And that's on YouTube. And then your Facebook group is the Philosopher's Stone. Yeah. Activation of the Philosopher's Stone, aged urine therapy.
Yeah, that's it.